Commodus. The name itself evokes a shudder, a whisper of dread across the annals of Roman history. He was the emperor who traded the dignity of his office for the blood-soaked sands of the arena, a ruler who indulged in grotesque fantasies of power while his empire teetered on the brink. This is the story of Commodus, the tyrant who cast a long, dark shadow over the Roman world. His was a reign born of privilege, shaped by paranoia and ultimately defined by barbarity. Unlike his father, the philosopher-emperor Marcus Aurelius, Commodus displayed little interest in the burdens of leadership or the welfare of his people. Instead, he craved adoration, power, and the thrill of the kill. From the moment he ascended to the throne, Commodus embarked on a path of excess and cruelty that would leave an indelible mark on the Roman psyche. His reign serves as a stark reminder that absolute power, when placed in the wrong hands, can corrupt even the most promising of souls. The tale of Commodus is not merely a historical account, it is a cautionary tale, echoing through the ages, a stark warning about the perils of unchecked ambition and the fragility of civilization itself. Born into the purple, Commodus was the cherished son of Marcus Aurelius, a man revered for his wisdom and stoicism. Yet, the young prince seemed untouched by his father's virtues. Where Marcus Aurelius embodied discipline and reason, Commodus exuded vanity and a predilection for pleasure. The weight of expectation rested heavily upon his shoulders. He was groomed for power, his destiny intertwined with the fate of Rome itself. But the young Commodus chafed under the constraints of his position. He craved the adulation of the masses, the visceral thrill of the arena, not the dry pronouncements of the Senate or the endless campaigns on the empire's frontiers. When Marcus Aurelius died in 180 AD, Commodus became the sole emperor of Rome. The transition of power, though smooth, marked a turning point in Roman history. Gone was the philosopher king, the defender of Roman virtue. In his place stood Commodus, a man of insatiable appetites and a thirst for blood that would soon stain the very heart of the empire. Commodus's reign was a spectacle of self-indulgence and cruelty. The young emperor, obsessed with the gladiatorial games, transformed Rome into a stage for his own perverse fantasies. He reveled in the roar of the crowd, the clash of steel, the stench of blood and death that permeated the Colosseum. No longer content with merely watching the games, Commodus descended into the arena himself. He, the Emperor of Rome, clad in the garb of a gladiator, battled against hapless opponents, often wounded or disabled, to guarantee his victory. These displays of brutality shocked the Roman elite, who saw in them a betrayal of their emperor's dignity and a descent into madness. His vanity knew no bounds. He renamed Rome Colonia Commodiana, the colony of Commodus. Statues depicting him as Hercules, the mythical hero, were erected throughout the city. The treasury was emptied to fund his lavish lifestyle and the endless games that fueled his bloodlust. Rome, once the beacon of civilization, was now ruled by a tyrant who saw himself as a god amongst men. Section 4. The empire in peril cracks beneath the surface of opulence. While Commodus indulged his every whim, the Roman Empire, vast and complex, began to show signs of strain. Years of war and plague had taken their toll. The treasury, once overflowing, was now depleted, drained by the emperor's excesses. In the provinces, discontent simmered. Governors, appointed not for their competence but for their loyalty or lack of threat to Commodus, ruled with an iron fist, exploiting the populace for their own gain. Corruption flourished, eroding the foundations of Roman administration. The legions, the backbone of Roman might, grew restless. They saw their emperor not as a leader worthy of their loyalty, but as a decadent fool who preferred the roar of the crowd to the defense of the realm. The stage was set for unrest, for ambitious men to seize the opportunity presented by a distracted and increasingly unstable emperor. Section 5. Treachery at home, unrest abroad. The seeds of discontent. As Commodus retreated further into his world of fantasy and bloodlust, a conspiracy began to brew within the heart of his own palace. His despotic rule, his blatant disregard for Roman tradition, and his increasingly erratic behavior had alienated even his closest advisors. His mistress, Marcia, fearing for her life, joined forces with the Praetorian prefect, Laetus, and the chamberlain, Eclectus, to eliminate the emperor. They plotted in secret, their fear of Commodus outweighed only by their desire to see an end to his tyrannical rule. On New Year's Eve, 192 AD, they made their move. Commodus, drugged and unsuspecting, was strangled to death in his bath. His reign of terror, which had lasted for over a decade, was finally over. But the empire he left behind was teetering on the precipice of chaos. His assassination did not bring stability. It merely ushered in a new era of uncertainty and bloodshed. Section 6. The Gladiator Emperor, a legacy forged in blood and tyranny. Commodus's reign, though short, cast a long shadow over Roman history. He was the antithesis of everything a Roman emperor should be, not a wise ruler, but a narcissistic tyrant, not a valiant general, but a bloodthirsty showman. His obsession with the arena, his disregard for the Senate, his profligate spending, and his brutal repression all contributed to the decline of Roman power and prestige. He left behind an empire weakened from within by corruption and instability, ripe for the turmoil that would soon engulf it. Yet to dismiss Commodus merely as a monster is to misunderstand the complexities of his reign. He was a product of his time, a ruler who embodied the excesses and anxieties of a declining empire. His